If they go out tonight in Game 5, it's bitterly disappointing. I thought Game 4 was the most disappointing game of the entire postseason. I mean, losing Games 2 and 3 is one thing. The Bucks shot well over 40% from three in those games. Sometimes that happens, but Milwaukee opened the door for them to get back into this series in Game 4 by struggling through the first quarter, by having just 27 points in the first, 15 minutes of game number 4. And the Celtics just kicked it away. Then they kicked it away doing the same things we saw during the regular season. Selfish shooting, bad defense, unwilling passing. They just weren't the team we saw against Indiana, and they weren't the team we saw in Game 1 of this series. So it would be incredibly disappointing if they go out in this Game 5.
But I guess, and I'm not trying to be mean,
sure
but why would anyone have expected something different?
Because they're good.
Because
they've got more
do
talent.
we have of that?
They've got more talent than Milwaukee.
They do. I don't know about Milwaukee, but the reason why you have expectations on the Celtics, regardless if you're a Celtics fan or not, that they have an organizational support. They got a great home court advantage. They have one of the best coaches that we have in the game, in Brad Stevens. They have Kyrie Irving that has proven himself regular season and postseason. They have very good role players, and they got a couple promising young players.
Okay, that's all fair.
And they're deep.
That's all fair, but I cannot let that last statement stand. They have more talent than Milwaukee?
Yes.
Okay, let's just go player for player. Giannis or Kyrie?
Giannis.
Okay, who's the second best player in the Celtics in your opinion? Is it Tatum or Horford?
Well, Tatum has played well below expectations.
No, but so let's call it Horford.
Horford, yeah.
Middleton or Horford? Middleton's an all-star.
Horford's been an all-star for two of the last 3 years.
Of course, but unfortunately for the Celtics, once again, we're not talking about last year.
No, but it's the same. He's the same.
Okay, so coin flip?
Like everybody else, coin flip.
Coin flip, fine. Bledsoe or Tatum?
Tatum.
Oh,
in this series, Bledsoe's been better, but Tatum is a better player.
Based on last postseason, the Celtics have to live in the now.
How about the last round?
Right, listen, Indiana was a team that was 16-19 once Victor Oladipo
but still a great
down.
defensive team.
They were an excellent defensive team, which was one of the reasons the Celtics offense struggled.
Not Jason Tatum.
No, Jason Tatum did not. You're correct. It wasn't until this round where he shot 7% from three that he struggled. The Celtics were an illusion. The regular season isn't everything, but it can't be nothing. And I know we're going to talk about Kyrie, and this is where Kyrie's going to get even more blame, is Marcus Morris kept trying to sound the alarm. Marcus Morris kept saying there's something wrong with this team, and Kyrie kept saying, nah, man. What was it? They got blown out by the Bulls?
Chicago.
Did you write about this?
I was there.
Yeah, and everyone was panicked, and Kyrie said, man, this was in February?
And as a leader now,
right after the
Kyrie wasn't wrong in doing that.
Well, except...
Because if Kyrie sounds the alarm, because he did something, he let us in and some insight, and it wasn't good earlier in the season. Like, as a leader, regardless of what's going on inside the family, he's not supposed to let us know that. So Kyrie was not wrong in doing that.
But he was taking, like, the leadership mud and throwing it against the wall all season long. Like, he started off by criticizing his younger teammates.
Yes,
he spent the first couple of months doing that. And then come February, he decided to take on the tactic of, well, everything's going to be fine. We're good to go. He's had problems leading this team all season long. I believe, because I've seen it with other teams before, that when they got to the postseason, that some of this minutes envy and the jealousy and the problems they had to deal with inside that locker room would dissipate to a degree where they get at least to the conference finals. That hasn't happened. That hasn't happened in this series most specifically.
There was also a belief that Gordon Hayward would be something he wasn't all year. Instead, he was 4 of 18 the last 3 games.
But Gordon Hayward was really, really good from like mid-February on, and he was really good for large portions of that Indiana series. Gordon Hayward is not the. Are you going to sit here and say Gordon Hayward has been the same player all season?
What I'm going to say is Gordon Hayward in November averaged 10.2 points, in December 10.3.
That doesn't matter.
In January 10.4. He then jumped up in February to 11.5.
That's not the
and
number
in March
you're looking at, and you know it. You know it. That's not the number you're supposed to be looking at there. It's the shooting percentage. In March and April, his shooting percentage is skyrocketed. That's the difference in Gordon Hayward.
So what should they do, Nick? Not play him?
Okay, well, here's what I know. I know that in these last 3 games, your most critical 3 games of the series, he's 4 for 18, averaging 30 points and a -49 when he's on the court.
And he's been passive. He has been very passive in these last 3 games. I'm agreeing with you on that.
But the other element, and then I guess when we get to the Kyrie stuff, is just for the Celtics. Let me just ask you this way then: if they are the better team, and if they have more talent, then do you think the series isn't over? I mean, we've seen teams come back down from 3-1. They got to win tonight. Then you have a game. Then you have a game in your building, and then all the pressure's on Milwaukee. Do you think Boston can pull out of this?
Oh, I think they can. I think they can win this game tonight. And then you put that pressure on Milwaukee, which has never had to be in this position before, winning a second-round playoff series against a team like Boston. But a lot of it is on Kyrie Irving, who we'll talk about. Kyrie has to play great tonight. He has to have a Kawhi Leonard Game 4 performance tonight.
All right. Well, if he doesn't, and that's the end of the Celtics this season, a lot of question marks surrounding Kyrie Irving. Right now, the odds makers have him going to 1, the Nets, Brooklyn Nets, 2, the New York Knicks, and 3, staying with the Celtics. So the question is, do you think the Celtics are better if Kyrie isn't there? They haven't shown that he can help them win in the postseason.
Under zero circumstances are the Celtics better without Kyrie Irving. Stars win championships in this league. And I love that little engine, that could attitude they had last year. Terry Rozier was awesome in the playoffs last year, but Kyrie Irving is a bona fide closer in the prime of his career. It is a no-brainer for them to extend him a 5-year, full max-level contract this offseason. There are other things to look at, but when it comes to do you want Kyrie Irving back or not, 100% you want Kyrie Irving back in the mix.
Yeah, absolutely. You want him back. But what's your feeling about Kyrie coming back? Do you think he's going to come back? And why would he go back to Boston? With all the problems they had in the locker room, behind the scenes and all that? Like, why wouldn't he just go somewhere and try to start up? Because he didn't request to go to Boston when he demanded a trade out of Cleveland. He just ended up there.
No, but he wanted his own franchise. He wanted out from the shadow of LeBron James, and he got it. And he got it with a team that is everything he could have asked for. He got a great general manager in Danny Ainge, a really good head coach in Brad Stevens, and a supporting cast that, without him, went to a conference finals last year. So he got everything that he asked for. Now, do I think Kyrie's leaving? I have no idea, because there are a lot of variables that we still don't know about yet. What happens on draft lottery night? Do the Knicks get the #1 pick? Does something else happen that shakes up the landscape? What happens with Anthony Davis? That's the big question mark. We talk about this on the show all the time. Where's Anthony Davis going to go? If the one way the Celtics are going to try to convince Kyrie Irving to stay, I'm sure, is to tell him that if you stay, we're going to go all out to get Anthony Davis. And I remain convinced that if the Celtics get in play for Anthony Davis, they are going to get him. They don't care what Anthony Davis says or what Anthony Davis's team around him believes. They will go get Anthony Davis and wholeheartedly believe that 1 year in Boston with Kyrie Irving will convince him to want to be there long term.
But you would agree they will not put all their chips in the middle of the table for Anthony Davis if Kyrie does not first give them the commitment.
100%. But if you are the New Orleans Pelicans and you're David Griffin, you wait.
Okay, no problem. You absolutely can wait. No, I agree with you. You wait till you see all the available offers, and David Griffin knows what he's doing. But if Kyrie does what I've been saying he's going to do for about the last 6 months, which is leave, and if Boston does what I've been saying they're going to do for the last 6 months, which is be out in the second round, which it appears is going to happen in about 14 hours. If Kyrie leaves and they don't go all in for Anthony Davis, then the question Danny Ainge has to ask himself is, what was this rebuild? It's Tatum and Brown, Horford with 1 year left, Gordon Hayward with a bad 2 years, $64 million left. What do the if Kyrie walks out the door?
Who is this team?
If Kyrie walks out this door, are they better positioned than Philly?
They're not.
Than Milwaukee?
No. Philly with their talent. No. Milwaukee has Giannis. But they're not, the Cleveland Cavaliers if Kyrie Irving leaves. They're still the core of a team that went to 2 straight conference finals, and you're forgetting the 4 first-round draft picks they could have in this year's draft. Maybe that Memphis pick rolls over and it becomes as appealing a pick as the Brooklyn Nets pick was when they traded for Kyrie Irving. This team still is in a good position to make itself a contender. It just becomes a lot harder. The plan changes from plan A to plan B if Kyrie walks.
It becomes exactly what it was 4 years ago.
Those picks need their own.
But 4 years ago, they didn't know what they had. 4 years ago, they had, cross your fingers and hope the Brooklyn Nets stink. Like, it wasn't anywhere near what they have. They have Jason Tatum, who I believe has the talent to develop into a 25-plus point per game scorer. They've got Jaylen Brown, who I think can be a complete borderline all-star player over the next few years. They still have the core of a good team. I don't know how it gets to a championship level without Kyrie Irving in that mix.
I have never heard a franchise in the history of this long game rely on picks and talk about them. Picks need their own Twitter account. Because, man, we have been talking about them picks. Man, we have been talking about them picks, those picks. Danny Ainge scared me last week with the little scare and everything, a little mild heart attack. I'm like, he gonna die with them picks, man. I mean, y'all got to do something with those. They got to do something with those
I've heard this. I've heard it now for years and years. It's the greatest heist in NBA history. The KG and Pierce for all those Nets picks. And now we are going to go into next season with this being a legitimate question. Are the Boston Celtics, with the highest level they got, with those in that era, was a conference finals with IT and a conference finals last year, are they in a better position moving forward than the Brooklyn Nets? That's the question that is a legitimate one. And when we're talking about teams in the East, we know Milwaukee's there. We know Toronto's there. The Knicks are going to have Kevin Durant. The Pacers are going to have Victor Oladipo back. The Nets, we will see if they get a star. The Celtics are going to have those picks.
You think the Celtics are in a worse position than the Nets, really?
I think that come free agency, when the Nets are going to be in the business of getting a star, and the Celtics are going to be in the business of, trust me, Bol is going to be the next superstar, and I'm sold that bill of goods, yeah, I think they might be.
I don't think the Nets are going to get one of those top-tier guys. I don't think the Nets even believe that they're going to get one of those top-tier guys. That idea that Kyrie's, to the Nets.
D'Angelo Russell's better than any player on the Celtics other than Kyrie Irving.
Oh, God, okay.
He's having a great offseason, too.
Okay.
Celtics are going to be fine. They got Danny Ainge. It's all good. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.